Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and today we are back with another exciting tutorial. So in this video we are going to talk about Kubernetes monitoring using Prometheus and Grafana. So I hope you are really excited for this tutorial, so where you can learn about the complete process. And we are going to talk about Prometheus and Grafana, how we can set up that in a Kubernetes cluster using Helm. So if you have seen one of my previous tutorial where we spoke about Prometheus, how Prometheus can be set up on Kubernetes using Helm, and if you already seen that, some part of this tutorial will be covered from that video, because this is also having both Prometheus and Grafana. So we'll be using some of the content from the previous tutorial. So if you have already watched those videos, you can skip some of those part and you can go to the next part, which you can continue from there. But this will be a very exciting tutorial where we'll be completely setting up the Prometheus to scrap all the content from Kubernetes. Then we will have the data source from the Prometheus as being used in the Grafana, so we can get the data from Prometheus to Grafana, and we will use the charts. We'll create the chart dashboard and all those things in the Grafana, so you'll be able to get the complete picture. We'll also show about a lot of contents about Prometheus, how the data scrapping happens, like what all the components like node exporters, alert managers, what all these things are getting created in the Kubernetes once we install Prometheus. So all those things, what all the metrics we can see it in Prometheus, all those things we will discuss it as part of this tutorial. So I'm sure you're going to like this. So before I get started into the topic, I would request you, like, if you're new to my channel or if you have not subscribed to my channel, click on the subscribe button and also like my videos. Give your feedbacks in the comment sections and what new videos you want to see, so that I can focus on that as well. So let's get started about this topic. So before getting into those actual discussion on the architecture, how we are going to set up and demo, for those who are very new about these components, like what is Prometheus, what is Grafana, I just want to give you a short brief introduction about that. So Prometheus, is an open source monitoring and alerting toolkit. So if you've seen some of the monitoring tools like Splunk or Zabbix, Nagios, similar kind of one of the tool is Prometheus, where it will scrap or get the content from different systems, and it will can be used for monitoring those systems, and also we can send alert based on the content which we are going to monitor from those systems. So what Prometheus actually does, it collects and stores these metrics from these systems, and it will be stored in a time series data. So whereas part of Kubernetes, why we are using Prometheus is because Prometheus gives you an out-of-box monitoring capabilities for Kubernetes and also the containers platform. So it's easy for us to monitor those systems using Prometheus very easily. Now moving on to Grafana. So if you don't know what is Grafana, Grafana is also an open source software, but this is mainly used for analytics and visualization. So we can see all the contents on a web application. So when you set up Grafana, you'll have a web page where you'll be able to see all the data and as part of your Grafana. Once you connect your data source, so you'll be able to see all those contents in as charts, graphs, and all those things. You'll be able to easily analyze, and you will be able to get a good visualization. So as part of Grafana, you can create charts, graphs, alerts, and all those things based on the supported data sources. So Grafana cannot create itself for all these things. It has to be connected to some kind of data source. In this video, we'll be using Prometheus as a data source. So Prometheus can send those data into Grafana, and we can use that into create graphs, alerts, and all those things. So just again, the same thing which I want to reiterate is Grafana allows you to query the data which is coming from data source, visualize it, create an alerts based on that, and understand your metrics. And no matter where it's stored, we can explore and create dashboards and all those things based on the content which is coming to Grafana. Now let's talk about a little bit about this architecture. Now if you see this diagram of this Prometheus architecture, this is taken directly from the Prometheus website. Now if you see, we have few contents. So the overall architecture, you see that you have a core Prometheus server. So we'll be installing the Prometheus server using the Helm operator. So we'll be using that in the Kubernetes cluster. So once you use the Helm package, so you will be able to use the Prometheus server. And also it will we'll also be installing different other exporters. So one of the exporter would be the node exporter. So you can see there are different ways you can get the metrics to Prometheus server, right? So one of the way is like you can install different kind of exporters on your nodes so that it can send the data to the Prometheus server. So we can use node exporters on different nodes so that you can send those data into the Prometheus server, like CPU usage, memory usage. In the normal case, like in a system or server, you can install on some of the servers, so those data can be sent to the Prometheus server. And you also can have like jobs, short-lived jobs, which you can push the metrics. We in the Kubernetes we also will use service discovery to get the details of the things running on your Kubernetes cluster, like containers, pods, and all those things. And in the Prometheus you also have one component called alert manager. So if you want to send some alert to emails or to your PagerDuty or Slack, some kind of output components, you need to also have a Prometheus alert manager. So that also we'll be installing as part of our Helm package. So it's a complete package. So once you install the Helm package for Prometheus, the operator for Prometheus will take care of that, and you'll have different components installed like Prometheus server, node exporters, alert manager. So all those things will be installed. We'll show you all those things once we do the complete process. So this alert manager, you should be able to use it, and you can configure your rules. You can configure what kind of alerts you want to send, whether you want to send it to email or you want to send it to Slack or you want to send it to PagerDuty. So different kind of method you can use to send this alert. And you can also see like in the there are two kind of different methods. You can have UI. So Prometheus itself have a web UI which is not as good as like Grafana. So the Prometheus web UI also you should be able to see the contents, like what kind of targets you have, different kind of metrics you are getting from Prometheus. But what we are doing in this tutorial, like we'll be using Grafana as well, so we can use Prometheus as a data source in Grafana, and we should be able to get a good visualization in the Grafana. So some of the components, what we discussed is like Prometheus server, which scrapes and stores the time series data, and we have something called TSDB, time series database in Prometheus server, and this PromQL, which is a query language which you can use to query the metrics. And you also have push gateways to for supporting short-lived jobs, and you also have different kind of exporters like HAProxy, StatsD, Graphi. So different kind of exporters you can use along with the Prometheus, and you also have alert managers to handle the alerts. So let's move on. Let's talk about like how you can deploy this Grafana and Prometheus in Kubernetes cluster. So there are different ways you can do this setup of Prometheus and Grafana in Kubernetes for monitoring. So the one of the way what we can do is we can do all the setup using manually. Like you have to create your manual YAML file for deployments, services, config maps, secrets, configuration files. All those files you can write manually for Prometheus, Grafana, and then you can deploy it in the your cluster. So like you have to write this different kind of YAML file, and then you can deploy that into your Kubernetes cluster. The other way, the simpler way would be like rather than using all this manual configuration file, what you can do is you can use Helm chart to deploy the Prometheus operator. So that's a more efficient way, because if you know like what is Helm, right? So if you don't know Helm, I would request you to have a look on my channel. We spoke about Helm. So Helm is the package manager for Kubernetes. Just like you have package manager for Linux like yum or apt, or you have Chocolatey for Windows, you have Brew for Mac OS. So these are package managers where when you try to install some package, you don't have to create your own application. You already have some package available in repository. You just call like yum install Apache, so it will install the Apache, right? Or you want to install some duplicate, you will use yum install duplicate. Similar way, like in Helm, the repositories already have different kind of packages, which is called charts. So all these charts are available in your repository for Helm repository. From there you can call those repository and you can install it on your Kubernetes cluster. So that's what we are going to use. We are going to use Prometheus Helm charts, which is maintained by Helm community. We'll use that to install on the Kubernetes cluster. So as I mentioned, what we are going to do is, like, we have a Kubernetes cluster and we have different kind of nodes, right? So once we set up the Prometheus server, it can use the state matrix, node exporters, the kube components, all those things you can use to pull. It can pull those metrics from Kubernetes, and also you can use the auto discovery using from the Kubernetes API. All those things will be sent to the Prometheus server, so you'll have different kind of metrics. So based on the metrics, you can have push alerts, so you can send those alerts to like Slack or email notification, which can be sent to this kind of medium, so which can be notified or some of the notification system. And we also what we are going to see in this tutorial, like we'll have Grafana, which will pull this data from Prometheus as a data source, and we'll be creating visualization and dashboard in the Grafana. So that will be the overall picture of what we are going to do in this tutorial. Before getting into the actual demo part, I also want to show you like a playlist in my channel, like for Grafana and Prometheus. So if you see, like if you want to know more about Grafana and Prometheus, I would request you to have a look on to this before you can get into this more in-depth part of this tutorial. But this is not mandatory, because even without this knowledge, you can set up Prometheus and Grafana using these steps what we are going to discuss as part of our Kubernetes tutorial. So but if you want to know, like these tutorials, we have defined a lot of topics on Prometheus and Grafana, like setting up Grafana, Prometheus, how to set up on Docker, also Loki, and how to create dashboards, and all those things we have discussed. Even Prometheus, if you want to know how about creating alert manager, using alert manager, how you can set up alerts, the rules for creating alerts, how you can configure for Slack, or how you can configure for email. So all those things are discussed here, so which you can use it for the benefit of this tutorial. And you can also see this tutorial we spoke about setting up Prometheus alone. So this part we are also going to show as part of this demo, but we'll be having in-depth more after that. So it's not only just Prometheus, we need to configure more after the Prometheus. So let's get started in the actual demo. So I have a machine which is having set up for Kubernetes. I'm going to use a Minikube setup, but these steps are going to be same for even for a cluster setup as well. So let's get started on that. So what first step what we have to do is, like, we need to add the repo for the Prometheus Helm. So what we are going to do is we are going to use the Helm repo and the Prometheus community and the Helm charts for Prometheus. Okay, so we are going to do that. So since it's already there, it's going to skip this, but in your case it will add those repo. But if you also want to search, like how to find all these repositories, you can use like Helm search as well, and you can use repo and Prometheus, whichever repo you want to search. So if you can search as well, so it will list down different kind of repositories available. You can also search in GitHub. You can see there are so much of repositories available for Prometheus. So I have used something for the community, right? Prometheus community is what we are going to use. So there are different Helm charts, so it's not mandatory that you have to use what I'm showing now, but you have to have an in-depth look on what are the components will be installed along with this repository. So but I would suggest, like, you can go with this what I'm showing, and you can, if you want to, you can do some research on other repository as well. So once you add the repo, just run Helm repo update. So if there are some update for the repositories, it can get from the repository, and it can update on your machine. So you can see it's trying to check for any latest update from the repository for the charts, and it will update here. So you can just wait. So now you can see it's all updated. You can see happy Helm. So now once that is done, now we can install the charts. So I'm going to call the chart as Prometheus itself, or the version it's going to be called as Prometheus. So once you run this steps, like Helm install the Prometheus, that's the release name, and we are going to use the chart. So once you run it, it will create a release as Prometheus, and it will give you a version. So you can see the installation is completed because it has already downloaded the image and all those things, and it has completed. So since I already have those things, it has quickly completed, but in your case it may take more time to download the image, and it can take some time for the complete the installation. And you can also see like it give you the details like the Prometheus is the release name, it has deployed, and the revision is 1, and you can access Prometheus using the port 80 right from the cluster. And it has also given some commands like how to get the Prometheus server URL. You can use this command, and to get alert manager you can get all these commands. So let me clear out the screen, and let me also show you now like kubectl get all. So now we can see we have a different kind of pods and services, deployment, replica sets running, right? So now you can see we have one pod running for alert manager. There is a pod for kube state metrics. There is one pod for Prometheus node exporter, right? There is a push gateway, and this is the Prometheus server, right? So you can see there are two pods for this. This is one pod, this is one, and there is a two pod for this, right? And also you can see there are different kind of services. This is the default Kubernetes services, but we have now services for alert manager. We have services for kube state metrics. There is a service for node exporter, push gateway, and Prometheus server as well. You can also see there is a daemon set for the node exporter, right? So whenever there is a node, it will be also using this daemon set for have one node export running on that. And now we can see also the deployments. We have same thing like for alert manager, kubemetrics, push gateway, Prometheus, and you also see replica set which define what is the desired current states, right, for alert manager, kube state metrics, push gateway, and Prometheus server. So now these all components are created just based on one single command, right? We just use helm install, given a name for the release, and then we given the charts. So in that chart it has defined all these things, but if you're going to do manually, think about like how many YAML files you have to create for deployment, services, and all this replica set, all those things you have to create. But this Helm simplify all those things. You already have the existing package, you just using the charts, you just run it. Now let me clear out this screen. Now if let me also show you one more thing. So just let me talk about only the service. Now we can see there is a service for Prometheus server, but if you see the type, it's a cluster IP. So this service is accessible only inside your Kubernetes cluster. But I want to access now the Prometheus instance from outside. So for that I need to create a new service. So let me clear out. And I'm going to use this command. So I'm going to expose the service Prometheus server again. And I'm going to make convert it as type node port, and I'm going to target for 1990. I'm going to give the name as Prometheus server external. So this is going to create a new service from the existing Prometheus server. So you can see it's exposed. Now if I go to kubectl get, as we see, you can see there is a new service called Prometheus server external, and node port is the type. And you can see also it has mapped to different ports called 30689, right? Now you should be able to access this service from external machine. Like you can go to browser and you should be able to access your Prometheus instance using this port. You can also get, since I'm using Minikube service, you can get the URL like this, Minikube service, and the Prometheus the service name, right? Prometheus server external. So now you can see this is the URL which I can access. So I can copy this and I can go to the browser. Now you can see I just run this IP address and the port number. You are inside the Prometheus web UI, right? So this is the default Prometheus web UI, which is not as good as like Grafana, but you can still able to get a lot of information here. So if you are comfortable with this UI, you can continue using it. Now let me show you some of the content. Like if you go to status and if you go to targets, now you can see we have different kind of endpoints, right? So we have endpoint for metrics, so which is giving this IP address, right, and the jobs API servers, and we have the Kubernetes nodes. So since it's a Minikube, there is only one node. So if you have multiple nodes, you should be able to see multiple nodes over here. And you can see the node advisors, right? You can have service endpoints, so you can see different endpoints here, right? And you can also see the Prometheus is up. So this is the metrics for Prometheus, and you can see also there is a push gateway. You can also see like you have different rules, like what you can set as part of your alert manager, which we don't have it yet. And you can also configure a lot of things. So if you want to configure things, you can do that as well, like different kind of scrapping, different kind of config files. So all those things you can do it. You can see also alerts. We have not created any alerts, so there is no active, pending, or alerts. You can go to graph. Maybe what we can do before we can start the graph. Let me show you the different kind of metrics. Now if you use the same IP address and just use metrics, you can see different kind of metrics which is captured as part of this Prometheus. So there's a huge content of metrics, so you can go through it, and which one is suitable for you, you should be able to use that to create different kind of time series charts. Or for example, I will just use node. So you can see there are different kind of node info. So maybe node disk info, and if I execute, you can see there are already different kind of alerts already coming here, right? So you can go to graph and you can see there are already data coming in, and maybe you can also check different other values. So let's use something like memory. Now you can see it is going up and down using for the memories, right? So the data is already coming from our system to Prometheus. Now we already have this data here. Now as I mentioned, now the next step is like we can use this data into Grafana. So we can use Prometheus as data source in Grafana, and we can use that into create some beautiful dashboards and charts. So let's do that. So I'm going to clear the screen, and now I'm going to set up Grafana also in this Kubernetes cluster. So in order to install Grafana, I'm going to add the repo, Helm repo add Grafana, and this is the Grafana Helm charts. So don't worry, I will give all these details about these commands into the video description. So I will link my GitHub link where you should be able to see all this command. You can just copy it and paste it from there. So now you can see in this case this repo is already there because I already added it before. So again I will use Helm repo update. So if there are some update, it can get it from the repository and it can update. So let's wait for this to be completed, then we can install the Helm charts for Grafana, and we can create a release for Grafana as well. So you can see that update is completed. Let me clear out the screen. Now I'm going to install Grafana. So using Helm install, the release name is Grafana, and I'm using the repo stable Grafana. So I will run this. So it should be able to install the Grafana as well. So now you can see this is also completed. Now as I mentioned here also, this is done much faster because already the content, image, and everything is already downloaded in this machine. So in your case it may take a little bit more time. Okay, and you can also see like a Grafana server can be accessed with this port. In order to access, you can use these commands, and you also need a password to access for the username admin. So we'll see all those things a little bit late. So now if you see Helm list, you can see there are two releases, one for Grafana and one for Prometheus. Both are in revision and one, right? So both are deployed. So there are two Helm charts which we deployed, and there are two releases available. So these two releases is what we are using now. So one already Prometheus, we shown you how we can access Prometheus using the IP address and port number. Now in Grafana also we need to expose the Grafana. So before that, let me show you kubectl get all. So let's see what all the difference. Now you can see in our case there is a new pod created for Grafana. These were all previous pods for Prometheus. Now we have one more Grafana pod. Here also we have a new service for Grafana, which is also a cluster IP, and you can also see one deployment for Grafana and one replica set. So you can see this service is again a cluster IP. So in order to access Grafana from outside, we need to have a node port. So let me expose the Grafana cluster IP service into a node port service. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use kubectl expose, and I'm going to use the service Grafana, and I'm going to make it as a node port and the target 3000, and name it as a Grafana external. Now if I go to kubectl get svc, you can see there is one more service called Grafana external, and it's the type is node port, right? Now we should be able to access Grafana from a browser. So in order to access the Grafana, you can get the URL using minikube URL. So you can see this is the IP address of this machine and the port number. So you can see the port number is already here, but if you want to get separately, you can use this command as well. So let me copy this. So once you run this IP address and port number, you can see we are inside Grafana. Now we need to log in to the Grafana, right? So we need to have a username and password. So in order to get that, we can check it using the YAML file output of the some content. I will show you how to get that. So what you can do is you can check the secret. So Grafana have a secret, so you are going to use the Grafana secret, and I'm going to export it to YAML. So now you can see this detail. If you scroll, you can see there is an admin password. So the admin user is also encrypted, and this admin password is also encrypted. So now we need to decrypt these things, so you can see what will be the username and password. So what you can do is, the username is admin actually, so we saw that but if you still want to see, you can use this and you can decrypt it. So in order to decrypt, what you can do is you can use echo, and you can use this content and let pipe it, and you can use OpenSSL. So I'm going to use OpenSSL base 64-D, and I'm using one more echo so that it can display the content on a different line. So you can see the username is admin, and now we can also use the command to get the password. So it should be echo, and this should be decrypted, and I'm going to use the same command for OpenSSL. So now you can see this is the password. So I'm just going to copy this password, and username is admin, so it will be admin, and this password I'm going to paste it here and just click on login. So now you can see we logged in, and if you want to change, you can change the password. So now we are inside the Grafana, and we also have a Prometheus setup. So now both Prometheus and Grafana is running, and there is another way you can get the password easily. I will show you that command as well. So run this command, like you can get directly from JSON output. You are going to query the admin password, and you are going to decrypt it directly here. So that will also give you directly the password directly, and our username is password, rather than you manually decrypting it. So it's both does the same, but as I mentioned, I will give you all these commands in my GitHub, and I'll link it into the video description. So you should be able to see all the details of the in the GitHub link, and also the playlist for Grafana, Prometheus. All those things will be on the video description, so you can refer it there. Now moving on to the Grafana, you have a data source to be created, right? So you can create data source. So you can select Prometheus, which should be our data source. Now you can select the ports, the URL which we have to set up, right? So you can use this URL. You can give the URL for your Prometheus server, which should be the IP address and the port number, and you can test. So now you can see data source is working. So now go back, if you see the data source is added. Now if you see this is completed, now let's go to create some dashboards, right? Sure, to create the dashboard, there are different ways to do it. So if you can create the dashboards manually, at the same time you can also import some existing dashboard content. Now if you go to Grafana's labs, and you should be able to search for different kind of dashboards. So this dashboard 6417 is a Kubernetes cluster Prometheus dashboard, which should give you different kind of metrics for containers running on Kubernetes nodes. So a lot of things you can get it. So rather than you creating your own dashboard, one of the easiest ways, you can just import this dashboard. So for that, what you can do is you can go to import, and you can just type the dashboard number, which should be 6417, and you can just load it. So now you can see that it has already taken the name of that dashboard. It's all those things, and you can just import. You can select the data source, because we already added the data sources Prometheus. So you can use that, and you can import it. Now you can see just one click, it has already created different kind of charts. You can see it has already created the clustered pod usage, CPU usage, memory usage, disk usage. You can see capacity, right? So you can also see the different kind of deployments. You have replicas updated. You can see nodes unavailable, number of nodes. Since this is a mini cube, you have only one node. If you have multiple nodes, you should be able to see different things. How many pods are running, how many pods has failed, right? How many containers are running. So all these details are already created, by just one click of importing that dashboard. So that's the easiest way to do it. Like, you can just go and import some of the existing dashboard from Kubernetes, the Grafana dashboard. So you can search there may be other dashboard which is much prettier than this, which covers a lot more content, so you can use that as well. This is one example I wanted to show you, so you can make use of this kind of dashboard. You can import it, and as far as the data is coming from Prometheus to Grafana, it will create all this dashboard charts and everything using those data. So now you can see, like, we have used Grafana for visualization and dashboard creation from the Prometheus server, and this for alert manager. As I shown you into the Prometheus playlist, you have videos on how to set up alerts using Prometheus, using email. You have to create some rules, how you can create all those things are covered in that playlist. You can also see how you can integrate with Slack, so that you can notify it in Slack or in different kind of scenarios. So I'm not going to cover that as part of this tutorial, because it's already available in my playlist. So I would request you to have a go and look on there how to make use of that configurations to send alerts into Slack or emails. So that is all for this tutorial. So I hope this is an informative tutorial for you. I would request you, like, if you are new to my channel or if you have not subscribed to my channel, click on the subscribe button. And also I would like to see, like, you like this video, then click on the thumbs icon, and also share this to others. Give your comments, feedback in the comment section, and also share what do you want to see in the upcoming tutorial. So I hope this is an informative tutorial, and thank you for watching.